that relationship goals and your responsibilities are not your life goals. So never get confused between the two. It's been 15 years. The 15 years that I've spent in this wheelchair were not easy. They were full of so many highs and as many lows. I always say that just because I somehow manage to carry it with grace and gratitude doesn't mean it's not heavy. These 15 years came with a lot of powerful life lessons, which I'm about to share with my beautiful YouTube family. In these 15 years, I have learned that we must never forget these three types of people. Those who leave us in our difficult times. Those who helped us in our difficult times. And those who put us in those difficult times. Never forget them. I have learned that life is so unpredictable. We desire something, plan something, and get something else. But accepting what comes our way without expecting anything in return and embracing it with gratitude works wonders. I have learned that when it comes to seeking validation from others, we should be very, very selective. I have learned that if we keep on listening to what other people think of us, we will eventually lose the sight of who we really are and what we are destined to be. So please, focus on your self-growth and don't pay heed to what other people think of you. Their opinions don't matter. I have learned that we all are in pursuit of happiness, but we fail to understand that we are solely responsible for our own joy. People can make us happier, but they can never make us happy. That's our inside job. You are responsible for your own joy. You are responsible for your own happiness. I have learned that relationship goals and your responsibilities are not your life goals. So never get confused between the two. In these 15 years, I have learned that in today's time and age, the biggest treasure that we all are yearning for and the only missing piece is inner peace. Attain it, avail it, and then protect it at every cost. In these years, I have learned that slowly and consistently is the fastest way to be where you want to be. It's the fastest way to be what you're destined to be. So don't rush. Be slow, be steadfast, but be consistent. In these 15 years, I have learned that nothing changes if nothing changes. So don't resist change. If you are too attached to what you have always been, you will never be able to be what you are destined to be. So change is a must. In these years, I have learned that we must surround ourselves with people who make you feel loved, welcomed, and wanted. We must surround ourselves with people whose eyes light up when they see you entering the room. And if you manage to find such people in your life, cherish them, protect them. I have learned that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear or pain. Courage means to be able to acknowledge that we are very ordinary human beings with extraordinary potential, that we are strong and powerful, yet vulnerable, that we are beautiful, inspiring human beings, yet flawed. If you manage to acknowledge and embrace your true authentic self, that is the real definition of being courageous. In last 15 years, I have met some incredible human beings, and I've come to the conclusion that people don't show up in our lives accidentally. We meet everyone for a reason. Some are blessings, others become lessons. So we take what we need to learn from them and we continue to keep moving on. I have learned with time that no matter how big of an empath you are, no matter how kind and considerate you are as a human being, you will always be a villain in someone's story. And trust me, you can do absolutely nothing to change that. And you don't need to. So just keep being you. Keep being kind. Don't let this world teach you to hate. Let people remember you as an empath, as a beautiful human being with a kind soul. That should be your definition when you leave the world. I have learned that the voice that echoes the most inside of you and the voice that you listen to the most is your own voice. Please make sure that your voice is worth listening to. Be kind to yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you should be able to say that I love the person I see in the mirror, and I will make sure that this person becomes a better individual every day. These 15 years have also taught me that I might not be able to inspire the entire world. I might not be able to motivate each one of you. Maybe God wanted me to make this video for that one person who was in the dire need of motivation, who needed to hear these words. So my dear friend, if you are watching this video, if you were the reason why I was chosen to make this video, I'm here for you. I'm here to let you know that no matter what happens, we must keep moving on. I have said this many times, and I'll say it again, that we are the heroes of our own stories, and heroes never give up. So chin up, stay strong, believe in yourself, and continue to move on. Don't practice empathy at the expense of your own self-respect and your own well-being. Because, as I said earlier, if you are practicing empathy at the expense of your own well-being, it will become self-destructive. Have you realized that how with time, we humans are becoming bitter instead of becoming better? And there is a huge reason behind it. Many of us tend to fail to identify the toxicity in our surroundings. We simply cannot block the toxic people in our surroundings. Many of you have been asking me about how can we know or identify that the person we are dealing with is toxic. So I thought that I'm going to make a video in which I will try to share some toxic traits of toxic people. In that way, probably it will become easier for you to identify that the person you are dealing with is toxic. Blocking toxic people is very important in order to maintain your sanity and your positivity. I've always said this, that toxicity is very contagious, just like positivity. If you are sitting with a toxic person, you will become a bitter and toxic person eventually. Trust me, when I recently blocked all these toxic people from my life, great things happened. I could feel this immense positive energy shift in my life. And I always say, when the wrong people leave, right things start to happen. So in my books, a wrong person is a person who is toxic. But before I talk about the basic traits of toxic people, I have to say this, that empaths are the biggest victims of toxic people. And there is a reason why. Empaths have this beautiful quality of being empaths. They believe in empathy. They believe in kindness. They believe in forgiveness. They always give those people benefit of doubts, those who deceive them, those who are toxic. I will say this to all my dear empaths, that don't get into the habit of collecting red flags. Toxicity is the biggest red flag. And if there is toxicity in a relationship, that relationship cannot survive. But my dear empaths, you need to understand one thing, that when empathy is practiced at the expense of your own well-being, when empathy is practiced without boundaries, that empathy is dangerous. That empathy becomes self-destructive. So let me share some basic traits of toxic people, which will help you with identifying that whether the person you're dealing with is toxic or not. And all these traits are based on my personal experiences. It is rightly said that energy never lies. As they say that when something feels off, it is off. We all are energy beings and we believe in the positive and negative energy. Here is the thing. Have you ever felt tired or drained while having a conversation with someone? Instead of feeling good and great or empowered or motivated, you just feel tired and exhausted to a point where you just feel like leaving that place. That's a major sign that you're dealing with someone who's toxic. Toxic people's energy is very tiring, it's very draining, it's very taxing. So if you are having a conversation with someone and you're not feeling that warmth and you're thinking that, you know what, something is off, leave that place immediately. Don't sit with that person for too long because toxic people are energy vampires. Protect your energy, protect your sanity, and walk out. Toxic people are extremely bitter, and that bitterness comes with a lack of gratitude. There is a beautiful quote which says that I've never seen a bitter person who is grateful or a grateful person who is bitter. Just like positivity and gratitude is contagious, ungratefulness and negativity is also very contagious. If you are dealing with someone who is constantly complaining and who's constantly talking about what that person doesn't have in life, you are dealing with a taxing, toxic person. So don't engage with someone who's being ungrateful. Don't engage with someone who does not count the blessings in their lives. Instead, they keep talking about what they don't have or what they have lost. Protect your sanity, protect your positivity, because gratitude is the way to live a happy and positive life. Toxic people don't have their own credibility, so they are always in search of finding credible people. Sometimes you will see that toxic people won't let you go very easily because your presence and your credibility in their life is their only definition. Toxic people are so weak that they will always try to stay in your shadow. Toxic people want you to be by their side, not as a friend. They don't see you as a friend. They see you as a credible opportunity, which they can use, abuse, or manipulate when the time comes. So beware. If someone is trying to use your credibility, that person is toxic. Toxic people are extremely insecure and envious. They will always find their weaknesses in your strengths. They will always see their failure in your success. They might pretend that they are happy with all the achievements you have made in life, but deep inside, they are so envious that they will never be able to appreciate and celebrate your achievements in its true letter and spirit. As Maya Angelou says, when people show you their true colors, believe them the first time. So please, toxic people are extremely insecure. Do not waste your time, do not waste your energy on such people. Do not surround yourself with envious and insecure people. Walk away and never look back. Toxic people are extremely disrespectful. They will always disrespect you because disrespecting people gives them validation. They feel validated when they insult other people. These insults don't have to be too loud. Sometimes these insults come across as subtle mean comments about how you look, how you talk, how you're living your life choices, your body, your skin color. You have to understand one thing. No relationship can work if there is no mutual respect. Mutual respect is the core element to make a relationship work. So please, if you are dealing with someone who keeps on disrespecting you, who keeps on insulting you, that person is toxic and dangerous for you. Walk away. Toxic people can never be empaths. So if they're asking you a lot of questions about your personal life, about your well-being, it's never out of concern. It's always out of curiosity. Please protect your sanity, protect your weaknesses from such people, because toxic people, as they are not empaths, they will use your weaknesses against you when the time comes. Protect yourself, protect your energy. And if you're dealing with someone right now who is always curious about what you're doing in life, that person is toxic and there is no concern in their questions. Simply block them and do not overshare with a toxic person. Toxic people don't believe in the idea of self-analysis or self-growth. But it's rightly said that if you don't grow together, you grow apart. Self-growth is important. It's necessary. I mean, if you don't grow, you wither, and when you wither, eventually you rot. So in order to be a good human being, self-analysis is the key. Self-growth is important. And as toxic people don't believe in the idea of self-growth, they will never let you grow as a person. How difficult would it be to be with someone who's not willing to grow with you? If you are dealing with someone who discourages you for the idea of self-growth or self-improvement, block that person, because that person is extremely toxic for you. I hope this video will be of some help. You need to remind yourself one thing, that toxic people are everywhere. They can be in your immediate family, they can be in your friend's circle, in your school, in your college, at your office, at your workplace. Protect your energy, protect your sanity and your well-being. Don't practice empathy at the expense of your own self-respect and your own well-being. Because, as I said earlier, if you are practicing empathy at the expense of your own well-being, it will become self-destructive. So please block all the toxicity from today, block all toxic people, and you will feel this immense shift of positive energy in your life. Have you ever wondered that at what point in life we start to compete with each other? At what point in life we start this unhealthy comparison with people around us? जब आप मुकाबला करके दूसरों को गिराकर खुद को ऊपर करते हैं, तो आप कभी भी अंदर से मुतमईन और फुलफिल्ड नहीं होते. We all are living in a super competitive world. We are living in a world where we see people competing with one another all the time. And trust me, this competition gets very tiring and super draining. There is a reason why each one of us tends to believe that we are not doing enough, that maybe we are not good enough, or maybe we are not deserving of achieving great things in life. We see people competing at every level in life. We see people competing professionally, emotionally, and even on personal level. What we fail to understand is that the more we compete with people around us, the more unhappy and unsatisfied we will be by the end of the day. Maybe that's why instead of becoming better people, we are becoming bitter people with time. When we constantly compete with the people around us, the most important thing that we lose is our inner peace. Maybe that's why today we see people achieving great things in life, but deep inside, they don't feel fulfilled. There is lack of peace in their lives. When we are constantly competing with people, when we are constantly comparing what we are achieving with those who are around us, we become toxic with time. I call this toxic comparison or toxic competition. And this toxic competition leads to insecurity, hatred, envy, greed, and jealousy. When we are competing with people around us, we want to become better. We want to do great things in life, and we strive for excellence. But the problem is, what we are doing is not for us. It's for people around us. That's why when you are trying to achieve something just because your neighbor has achieved something or your colleague has done something and you want to show your sibling that you are good enough, by the end of the day, you are never going to feel fulfilled. No amount of success is going to satisfy you because what you are doing right now is not for you. It's for them. And when I say them, I'm talking about people who are least interested in your life. So when you decide that instead of comparing yourself with other people or with what they are doing, focus on how you can improve for yourself. Toxic competition leads to insecurities. Because of toxic competition, you will never be able to appreciate that you are doing enough, that you are worthy of achieving great things in life. Toxic competition will never allow you to be grateful for what you have because you're constantly seeking for more. You're constantly seeking for validation from people around you. That's why in today's time and age, we see a lot of people thriving and excelling in their careers and also in their personal lives. But they're constantly competing and comparing their relationships and their life goals with the people around them. Hence, they feel ungrateful. They feel unworthy of what they have. But here is a question. Have you ever wondered that at what point in life we start to compete with each other? At what point in life we start this unhealthy comparison with people around us? I'll tell you. This very practice starts at home when we are kids. You might have seen parents comparing two children. One child is always smarter, wiser, kinder, better than the other. Now imagine, how can these two siblings who are compared with each other throughout their lives can ever be friends? Then we see this toxic competition in our school system. A child who scores great grades is always loved, admired, appreciated, and respected by the entire school. Now imagine that a child who's not performing well enough, can he ever be friend with a position holder? That child will always feel like a failure. A child who's not good at studies according to the teachers will always belittle himself. This is what toxic competition at a very young age does. A child loses his confidence. A child loses his integrity and self-respect. When these insecure children become adults and when they enter in their professional lives, these two colleagues are always going to compete with each other. They will always be comparing their skills with one another. They will always see their failure in their colleague's success. Instead of getting inspired, they'll get intimidated. This is what toxic competition at a very young age does. And then, when these adults get into a relationship, they start to compete with their life partner. They start to compete with their spouse. Instead of becoming good companions, they become competitors. Instead of compatibility, there is intimidation in a relationship. And now you must be thinking that all of this is unhealthy competition. But then competition is good because we want to improve, we want to become better. Then what is healthy competition? Let me tell you. The only competitor you have in your life is yourself. You are your biggest competitor. You want to improve, you want to become a better person, not because you have to show it to the world, but because you have to do it for yourself. You are not competing with anyone around you. You're not competing with your siblings, you're not competing with your classmates, you're not competing with your colleagues and your spouse. You're competing with yourself every day. Because in today's time and age, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say that the person that I see today in the mirror is way better than the one that I saw yesterday, then my dear friend, you are winning at life. This is how healthy competition looks like, where you are not busy comparing what you have with the people around you, but because you want to improve your life in the best way possible. You want to strive, you want to be the best version of you because you want to do it for yourself. And this kind of achievement is going to make you feel fulfilled and grateful. I'm not a failure, I'm a winner. Not because I did not experience failure, but because I chose not to give up. इस वीडियो के आखिर में मैं तमाम बातें उर्दू में करूंगी उन तमाम प्यारे YouTube फैमिली के लिए, उन मेंबर्स के लिए जो चाहते हैं कि मैं उर्दू में बात करूं. There is a huge difference between losing and losing hope. But in order to understand this fully, we need to redefine the word failure. And more than just redefining, we need to normalize the word failure. You know, even at this moment, a lot of us would rather give up on our lives than experiencing the word failure. You know why? Because we have demonized the word failure for eons. We have attached all the negative words like bitterness or permanent loss or disrespect or humiliation with the word failure. Then why would someone ever feel like being a failure? No wonder why our youngsters are scared of failing in every sense of word. But to me, in all honesty, I have always considered the word failure as a stepping stone on the road to success. I have always believed that in order to fully enjoy the victory or win, we must learn to enjoy failure, or at least we must taste failure for once. Today I'm going to share something very personal with all of you to fully understand why we all need to fail to feel the victory in its true letter and spirit. You know, every day when I wake up in the morning, every single day, I wake up as a failure. I try to sit on my own on the bed, but I fail and I fall back because my back muscles are weak and I cannot sit on bed on my own. I need assistance, but I don't give up. I try to sit on my own again, and I fall back and I fail miserably. I do this so many times and I fail so many times, and then a point comes where my mother comes in the room, she lends her helping hand and makes me sit on my own with her assistance, and that's how I'm able to sit on my own. But now when you look at this whole practice, well, technically, I start my day as a failure because I cannot even sit on my own without assistance, right? But if I start to call myself a failure, if I start to give up on myself, will I ever be able to start my day? Will I ever be able to sit in this wheelchair with confidence, grace, and gratitude? If I label myself as the biggest failure of all times, a person who cannot even sit on her own, will I ever be able to do what I do? Absolutely not. I do not consider myself as a failure because, trust me, when the whole day passes and I shift to bed again at night, I'm not a failure, I'm a winner. Not because I did not experience failure, but because I chose not to give up. That's why I've always talked about let's stop demonizing the word failure. I have never allowed failure to dictate me. I have never allowed failure to get in my way. I have always accepted and embraced all the shortcomings, all the failures with open arms, because I know that when I celebrate my victory, it's only because I have experienced and tasted failure. So remind yourself every single day that there is a huge difference between losing and losing hope. It's okay. When we are on a journey of self-exploration, we will fail, we will fall, we will lose multiple times. We don't fail when we lose, we fail when we give up. So please, do not shy away from the word failure. Do not demonize the word failure. Don't be scared to fail, because when you face the failure, you actually get the chance to celebrate and enjoy your victory. That's why I've always said this, and I'll say it again, that failure is an option. Failure should be an option, but giving up